The forward operating base at the county fairgrounds smells like diesel fuel and cold coffee, and the specific exhaustion of people who have been awake for 72 hours doing something that nobody trained for. You have been awake for 72 hours. You stopped counting at some point on the second night, the way you stop counting things when the count stops being useful and starts being a reason to sit down. You do not sit down. You have not sat down in 72 hours, except in the passenger seat of military vehicles moving between the FOB and Harlow Creek and back again, and that does not count as sitting down. Captain Reyes calls you the map, not to your face. You hear it from one of the 3rd Battalion soldiers, a 22-year-old from Tulsa named Garrett who has been on 3 of the same clearance runs you have been on and who has the specific quality of young soldiers who talk when they are tired. He says the captain says the sheriff is the map, says nobody moves in this town without the map. This is accurate. 19 years of walking every street of a town of 2,400 produces a kind of knowledge that does not exist in any database or satellite image or tactical briefing. You know which houses have dogs. You know which families have generators. You know which basements flood in heavy rain, and which ones don't. You know that the Kowalski house on Birch Street has a storm cellar that Dennis Kowalski built himself 12 years ago and showed you once because he was proud of it. You know where people would go. The clearance runs have a protocol. 2 vehicles, 6 soldiers. You ride in the second vehicle and you do not carry a primary weapon because Captain Reyes made a decision on the first run that the map does not get shot and the map does not shoot, the map navigates. You have your sidearm. You have had your sidearm for 19 years and it has been drawn in service 4 times, and you are not going to tell Captain Reyes how many times it was drawn in the last 72 hours because she would ask questions you do not want to answer in a tactical briefing. The runs go like this. You tell them where to go. They clear it. You identify what is found. You tell them what it was before. This is the part of the job that 72 hours of no sleep has not made easier, and will not make easier regardless of how many more hours pass. You know every face in Harlow Creek. You have said this to Captain Reyes and to Captain Reyes's command, and to yourself in the passenger seat of military vehicles at 2 in the morning, and it is both the most useful thing about you right now and the hardest. On the second day, you find the Kowalski storm cellar. Dennis Kowalski built it himself 12 years ago with poured concrete walls and a steel hatch door and enough canned goods to last 3 weeks because Dennis Kowalski is the kind of man who builds things properly and plans for contingencies. Dennis and his son Tyler and 4 neighbors who had made it to the Kowalski house in the first hours. 6 people in a storm cellar for 48 hours. Tyler Kowalski, 17 years old, who read your face on Birch Street and took his dad and kept moving. 6 people, still breathing. On the second day, you also find the Hendersons' old place. The Driscoll family, new to town, 2 kids, had been in their house. The house is a colonial with a finished attic that has a pull-down ladder and a solid floor, and no windows. You know this because you responded to a noise complaint at the Hendersons' old place 7 years ago and went through every room, including the attic. Which is what you do when you respond to a noise complaint alone at 11 at night in a town where you are the only law enforcement officer. The Driscolls pulled the ladder up behind them. The attic has no windows. 4 people, still breathing. By the morning of the 3rd day, the count is 61. 61 survivors found in Harlow Creek across 72 hours of clearance runs. Storm cellars and attics, and a walk-in freezer at the grain elevator where Pete Garfield's co-workers had barricaded themselves on the morning of the first day and survived on protein bars, and the specific determination of people who work physical jobs and know how to wait. A crawl space under the Lutheran Church on Elm Street where 4 elderly members of the congregation had been brought by their pastor, who had been a combat medic in a previous life and recognized the first hour for what it was. 61 people who found the right space and stayed in it. You know every single one of them by name. Captain Reyes has stopped calling you the map. She calls you by name now. Not sheriff, your name. The way people start calling you by name when they have seen you work and have decided you have earned something beyond the title. She says, "We are expanding the clearance radius tomorrow, 8 miles. I need you for the full day." You say, I need the morning. She looks at you the way she looked at you when you gave her Earl's name. The look of an officer who understands that some things are not tactical and does not argue with them. She says, "Oh, 800 departure. Be back by 0800. You leave the FOB at 0530, not in a military vehicle. In your cruiser, which has been parked at the county fairgrounds since the evacuation, and which starts on the first try because it is a 3-year-old Ford Police Interceptor that has been maintained on schedule and does what it is supposed to do." The drive from the fairgrounds to Harlow Creek takes 11 minutes on a road that is now cleared and secured and functioning as a road again. 11 minutes, 6 miles. 11 minutes. The same road that was not functioning as a road 3 days ago is functioning as a road now, and the difference between those two versions of the same road is the entire content of the last 72 hours. Harlow Creek at 0541 in the morning, 3 days after everything started, looks like Harlow Creek. This is the thing that hits you when you turn onto Main Street, and the headlights catch the post office and Patty's Diner and Weaver Hardware in the pre-dawn darkness. It looks like the town. The buildings are the buildings. The streets are the streets. The American flag above the post office is still there, still doing what it does, completely indifferent to what happened below it. Military checkpoint at the north end of Main Street. 2 soldiers who have been here long enough to recognize your cruiser wave you through without stopping you. You drive 2 blocks north. Harlow Creek Elementary School. You park in the fire lane in front. You have been parking in the fire lane in front of Harlow Creek Elementary since your first year as sheriff because there is never a fire and you are always just a minute. The building is dark, pre-dawn, no lights on inside, the front doors are closed. You know the evacuation protocol. You were there when Captain Reyes extracted 27 children and 4 teachers from this building on the evening of the first day. You watched the organized lines. You watched Janet Marsh's character walking beside a soldier at the front of the line the way a principal walks, like she is responsible for every person behind her and knows it. You know Janet Marsh was evacuated. You know this. The reason you are here at 0541 in the morning 3 days later, standing in the fire lane of an evacuated elementary school in a cleared and secured town, is something you have not been able to name for 72 hours. Something that has been present in the back of every clearance run, every name identified, every storm cellar and attic and walk-in freezer. A small persistent thing that 19 years of law enforcement has taught you not to ignore. You were at the community center when the evacuation happened. You did not see Janet Marsh get into a vehicle. You walked to the front doors. They are locked. Locked from the inside. The specific resistance of a door that has been locked deliberately by someone on the other side, not the passive resistance of an empty building left secured, but the active resistance of a lock that is being maintained. You knock 3 times. The specific knock you use when you need someone to open a door and you need them to know it is you. Not a police knock, not an emergency knock, the knock of someone who has been to this building 400 times and whose knock is recognizable. Silence. Then, a voice from the other side of the door. Quiet. The voice of someone who has been quiet for 3 days and is using volume carefully. The way you use volume carefully when you have 27 children in a building and you do not know what is outside. The voice says, "Sheriff Janet Marsh." You went to school with Janet Marsh. Her daughter plays on the same soccer team as your niece. You gave her a specific instruction on the morning of the first day, and she executed it with the specific competence of a person who has been running an institution for 15 years and knows how to follow a clear directive. Lock the doors and do not let anyone in or out until you hear from me directly. Not from the radio, not from another officer, from me in person or on your personal cell phone. When the evacuation came, it came through the radio. It came from another officer. It did not come from you, in person or on her personal cell phone. Janet Marsh followed the instruction, exactly as given for 72 hours. You say, "Janet, it's Dale." Open the door. A pause. The specific pause of someone doing the verification that they were told to do. Voice recognition, context, the 19 years of knowing this person's voice that makes confirmation possible. The lock turns. Janet Marsh opens the door. She is wearing the same light blue collared shirt she was wearing 3 days ago. Her hair is different. 3 days of no sleep, and sustained vigilance visible in every detail of her appearance. She is holding a flashlight and a fire extinguisher, which is both the most and least surprising thing you have seen in 72 hours. She says, "I didn't hear from you on my cell or in person. So I waited." You say, "I know." She says, "The evacuation order came on the school radio, not from you." You say, "I know." She says, "You said not from the radio, not from another officer." You say, "I know, Janet." Behind her in the dark corridor of Harlow Creek Elementary School, you can see the shapes of children, 27 of them, sitting in the corridor in the dark the way children sit when an adult they trust has told them to sit quietly, and they have been sitting quietly because they trust the adult. Some of them are asleep, some of them are looking at you. All of them are still breathing. You radio Captain Reyes at 0547. You say, "I have 27 children and 4 teachers at Harlow Creek Elementary. They have been secured in the building for 72 hours. I need transport and medical assessment for all 31 individuals." Captain Reyes does not ask how. She says, "Copy. Assets en route. ITA 12 minutes. You sit down on the front steps of Harlow Creek Elementary School. This is the first time you have sat down in 72 hours. Janet Marsh sits down beside you. She still has the flashlight. She still has the fire extinguisher. The Iowa dawn is coming up the specific way it comes up. Gray first, then orange at the horizon, then the flat cold light that turns everything the same color. You have seen this dawn 4,000 times. This one looks different. Janet says, "How many did we lose?" You think about Hank. You think about Earl. You think about the names you identified on the clearance runs, the faces you knew. You tell her. She listens. She does not say anything for a long time. Then she says, "And how many did we keep?" You think about 61 survivors found in 3 days. You think about 42 from the community center. You think about 27 children sitting in a dark corridor for 72 hours because their principal followed an instruction exactly as given. You tell her that number too. Janet Marsh does not say anything. She sits with the number the way people sit with numbers that are both devastating and not. In 12 minutes, the military transport will arrive. 27 children will walk out of Harlow Creek Elementary School into a gray Iowa dawn with their teachers and soldiers together. The map will get back in his cruiser and go back to work. But right now it is 0551 and the dawn is coming up and you are sitting on the front steps of a school that held because you told it to hold and it held. And for the first time in 72 hours you are not counting. You are just sitting in a town that is still your town, with a woman who held it with you, and the 27 children still breathing in the dark behind you,